Good evening, welcome to the Goffstown Sewer Commission. This is our regular meeting that is scheduled for monthly. We'll do roll call starting with our select board rep.
Jim Craig, Select Board Rep.
Mike Trank, Consulting Engineer.
Daniel Taylor, Commissioner.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Dave Pierce, Commissioner.
Lynn Pooler, Sewer Secretary.
Keith Canton, Assistant Sewer Foreman.
Corey White, Sewer Superintendent.
Thank you all for being here. Normally we start with a public comment section. If anyone is here for public comment, we're going to open the floor for public comment at this time. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 11
As presented.
as presented. I see no reason to change them unless Dan.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes as presented and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have new business. Lynn, we have an application for East Union Street. Could you tell us what we have?
That would be Corey.
All right, Corey.
We have an application for 10 East Union for the 2 units, correct? To tie into our system.
Okay, who's here to speak? Come on up and identify yourself for the record, please, sir.
Okay,
Nice.
Brian Howard, I'm the owner.
Hi, Brian, thank you.
So, been working with the planning board, and we're here to get approval for the sewer hookup.
So basically what we're here to approve is capacity in the system to accept your buildings as you want to put in. And I'll ask Corey for a brief report if he can give this one.
That section of line has plenty of capacity. It's all brand new.
Right on there.
Everything was changed to the property line with 6-inch, so adding 2 more to that 6-inch line isn't a big deal. There's plenty of capacity for that.
And how do you propose to get that? How does the applicant propose to get there, Corey? Going in the street or staying out of the street?
Staying out of the street and actually connecting into a clean out that's already been installed.
Is that, Corey, that clean out shown on the plan?
It is. It should be in the driveway.
Do you have a set of plans in front of you, Corey?
And Eric has seen these plans, and he approves of all the changes. He called Patty this afternoon. Not Eric, Scott.
So where you can follow the sewer down, that line where it stops, it actually doesn't show the exact clean out, but where the line stops, doesn't
Creates,
show it going out to the street.
creates a Y.
Yep, it's a Y.
Okay. So you're going to have to modify that connection to accept the other line?
Correct. They'll have to add another Y behind that to re-tie in the existing home and the 2 new ones.
So the clean out in effect would be in line with the sewer service to the street, but in the center of the 2 services come from either side?
Correct.
And is the distance from there all the way back to the new proposed building, does that exceed our regulation for length?
No.
Okay. So he doesn't, not need to add a clean out in the field then, again?
Nope.
Commissioners, any questions for the Corey or the applicant?
Design's fine. Capacity issue is
No issue.
Sufficient? And just so you know, sir, Corey is going to have to need to inspect all of this trenching and all the work on your property to make sure it meets our standards. So when your contractor does come out to do the sewer connection, Corey or Keith will have to be out there for the whole time it's open.
Will do.
Okay.
all the open trenches for the construction.
And then, have you been made aware that there is 2 accessibility fees due for this site because you're adding 2 new units?
Yes.
That's correct. You've been apprised of all this information? Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Mike, are you looking at, do you have any questions, Mike?
No.
What size line is it going to be, Corey?
6-inch.
All the way back to the house?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. I like that. And it's 6-inch from the connection to the street then as well. That was the new line they put in when they
Correct.
redid the sewer under
Yep.
East Union, what, 3 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. All right, seeing no discussion, I think that a motion to approve the capacity would be in order, because I think that's our only real issue is capacity.
So a motion to accept the 2 additional treatment units being generated on property 34-18.
Second
I'll
motion?
second the motion.
Motion made second to permit the 2 units to tie into our sewer line because the capacity is available. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, Lynn needs all in back when we're done. Brian, that was short and sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Corey, is there a fee for a permit for this?
Yeah, there's a $50.
Okay, so he'll
Yeah.
be made.
When they pull the sewer permit, that's when they-
I'll get it after.
Good. All right. Old business. What we're gonna do is because we have Adam here for our quote-unquote Albert Street sewer replacement public hearing. None of the residents, did anybody respond to the letters?
I didn't hear from anybody,
Were they sent return receipt or just US mail?
just US mail. But I didn't get any back.
Okay, so we'll make an assumption for the record that everyone did receive the letter since they were sent and they felt it wasn't necessary to come in. All right, so at this point, I think it'd be fair for the public and for commissioners and everyone else to know that I have sort of been staying in Adam's ear about this project because of the fact that we were going to be patch paving the road and not redoing the whole road. So after Adam thought it over a little bit, he has decided to partake of the project. And would you like to give us a brief overview of what DPW wants to do and then how we can work out our cost sharing for this project?
Sure. Thanks for having me in. The thought with Albert Street is definitely, as you know, a low-volume, dead-end street. What DPW would like to do to keep our costs low, we're sort of starting to get a little bit of a backlog in Pinardville in particular. Take advantage of the excavation that's going to be there. As Tim mentioned, I think the trench cut would be probably a third of the road, if not more. So it seems to make sense if that much asphalt's going in with a hand method, pave it, get a better rate per ton for you folks, get a better road for us and for the residents. What we'd like to do, and Scott's given some estimates to Tim and Corey, I believe, and probably Mike at this point as well, to place 6 leach and catch basins with knockouts that if we really had an issue with those leach and catch basins in the future, we could connect them with pipe to future drainage improvements on Cross Street when we rebuild Cross. But as we saw on Louis Street, a lot of sandy soils there, we anticipate that it would probably function pretty well. And for a street of that low volume in particular, we don't anticipate any real problems. And certainly wouldn't want to get back into Albert Street anytime soon for a rebuild again. So that would be our proposal. Add a half dozen leach and catch basins, 2 at the end at Cross Street with the knockouts, 2 at about midpoint and probably 2 at the end. Right now we have a situation, we don't have a proper turnaround at the end of Albert Street, so we're going to be trying to work with the property owners at the end and see if we could come to an agreement for a turnaround easement. If that's the case, we may improve a small hammerhead at the end, but right now there isn't one. So it's pretty straightforward from our perspective. The only other thing of note, I guess, would be there are a couple sections of abandoned sidewalks. I don't know if it was original developed or if the neighborhood got together and constructed a sidewalk at one time, but it's not contiguous, and in particular the last couple parcels as you get towards Cross Street, do not have any sidewalks. So it wouldn't be a situation where this is a worthwhile project to rebuild or reconstruct sidewalks where they've been removed previously. So really just a road project. Scott's included some loam and seed work, some of the driveway tie-in information with the estimate. And I think looking at approximately 29,000 if we use the current Continental pricing. We will be going back out to bid most likely for 2024. There's a good chance Continental will get the bid. They have the last few times we've put that out. But using their pricing from last year, it's about $29,000 for the reclamation of the entire road, the base asphalt and the wearing course, and then the tonnage for the driveway tie-ins.
So to reclaim the entire road, base and top, and driveway ties, what's the approximate estimate?
He's got $29,423.
Okay, now we have in our present bid tabulation for hand paving, Mike, I'm reading BMB, right, Mike?
Yes.
BMB. We have about $30,000 in handwork alone. Am I reading that correctly? I brought two, Mike. Base and top, we have hot bituminous paving line 13. So presently we have $32,000 in there. So we will not have any difficulty doing a change order and then cost
3,000 for,
handwork as well.
yeah.
So we have enough money in our bid that we could pull these 3 lines out of the contractor's bid and then reduce the total bid by that amount on a change order, and then we will assume all the paving responsibility after their work is completed. Okay. Now, Adam, do you still want them to give you a price to install the leaching CBs?
That would be great if they're going to be there anyway, and
So
at least half of them would be.
Could you please mark up a 1-page and supply Corey with it, or supply it to Mike, so that Mike can send it over to the contractor for pricing for installing those leaching catch basins? You'll supply stone and structures?
Yes, yep.
And could you do some cut sheets of some kind that gives them the specification for the total depth as well as the amount of stone that needs to go around the outside of it, so that they have a baseline to do a bid for you on?
For sure.
That way they
Scott's
know.
got a rough takeoff, and then I think he had shared the detail. We can put that all together in one place for the
So
contractor.
that way
if
Mike
they
can
need it, but-
execute a change order with our contractor to add the 6 leaching catch basins and delete the paving. I think that would be,
Are we gonna do a full width 12-inch gravel base?
That was not the plan.
Okay.
The part of what we might need to do, though, ahead of time is do a test pit or two along the road and see what material we're working with there.
we
Seems like
discussed
it's-
it because it's a low-volume road, Mike. There's got to be some kind of gravel under that road, because they certainly did not pave directly on the sand. Okay? Now, if our contractor does what his contract calls for, to do all his trenching and replace all material 18 inches deep, or whatever the spec is in our contract, with the 304.4 gravel up to the pavement for temporary driving, that's where they're going to walk away from it at that point. Then when they reclaim the road, the asphalt, the 304.4 that's in the road, the gravel that's under the road, they blend that all together and make a homogeneous blend out of that, and then when they grade it door to door. So we're in conversation, because it's a low-volume road, a dead-end road, we probably will be able to have a little less gravel than a full gravel base under it as a spec, but for the amount of traffic it's going to get, I'm sure it'll survive a long time. I don't have any doubt about that.
Adam, is the turnaround within the right-of-way, or does it require an easement over private?
It would be a private easement that we'd have to negotiate separately. So Scott had pulled some of those numbers out as well, so if we were to do something like that, of course, we wouldn't ask for cost sharing on that piece, but
And that would be your responsibility to negotiate
Yes.
easements, that's not within our parameter.
that's right.
So does the commission have questions for Adam regarding the proposal here that we're putting on the table to become a joint venture here on this road?
I'm very pleased.
So, at this time, we don't need a vote on this, I don't believe, for any reason, because we've had coordinated efforts with DPW in the past, and I don't think it's gonna be any different than today. So if you
You'll
could,
have to approve the change order anyway.
right, when the change order comes
Yeah.
through. So if, Adam, if you could work on getting that stuff to these guys ASAP, obviously, because we have given the contractor, what did we ask them for, Mike? A late April start? All right, so we're about 2.5 months from starting at this point. So we have plenty of time to negotiate these change orders and bring them forward for a vote and for the contractor to either accept to do them or not.
I discussed this with the contractor last week.
Thank you.
and He's on board with doing this.
He is on board with the
Yeah.
change order?
I
Great.
just need to get him the information so that he can come up with pricing.
Okay.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure we can get that to you this week.
And then we can get this thing squared away so that we'll give them a whole new road when we're all done. Great idea. Thank you.
The one thing I didn't ask Scott, so never ask a question you don't think you might know the answer to, I guess, in a public meeting, but has Manchester Waterworks got any improvements that need to happen in that?
We have not
Street.
discussed any improvements with Manchester Waterworks because
Up until now, it wasn't
up
a
until now,
full
it
project.
was just a trench, but
Okay. I'll reach out tomorrow to Guy.
you can look at, I really would like not to have them come in there and dig the
Yeah.
water line up and replace it. Do you know what the water line is, Corey? Do you know if it's ductile iron the whole length?
See something similar.
Yeah,
Loose.
I'm not sure. I just know there's 2 private lines that run, 2 or 3 private lines. that
We
run.
have it labeled in the drawing.
Okay.
I remember when we redid the end of that, we found I think 2 or 3 shut-offs, and they came out and
So make sure that those guys, your guys, know where those are, Adam, before they locate structures in the shoulder that would interfere with those private lines.
And down at the end of Albert Street, the water gets kind of funky because it splits and goes in 2 directions.
Right. I would like to avoid, unless Manchester wants to put a new line in, we can certainly hold the project up for them if they decide they wanted to redo their water line down through there. But I doubt if they're gonna.
Just don't want to find out that they suddenly
yeah,
want to
well,
do
I
a moratorium
appreciate-
cut or something like that
So,
because it's in
would
real
you-
rough shape.
Would
I'll
you
reach
do-
out tomorrow.
Could you do the due diligence and reach out to them?
Will do.
I would appreciate that. And could you give Corey contact information, obviously, to be our point of contact for any discussions out there?
Yep.
Or Corey and Scott Lozano together, because you're both in on the project now. Okay. Good. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for coming in, Adam.
No,
Appreciate
thanks for
your
having me.
input.
Hopefully the lack of visitors is just a testament to how much patience and faith they have in Public Works.
I think they just want it done.
Probably so. All right, take care.
Thanks,
Have a good
Alan.
night.
Good night. Is that the only Albert Street update we have for this evening from Mike or Corey?
Yeah, the contractor has all the contract documents, so he's executing those and getting his bonds and stuff.
Good, good. All right, the next item on East Union wet well cracked floor restoration. So let's start with half of that because there's Riverview Park as well. So let's start with that. Is that what this Surbon consolidated estimate is in front of us?
correct.
Okay, could you, who's gonna explain, you or Mike?
I can explain it.
Go ahead.
So we'll start with the wet well. The wet well is actually leaking into the dry side. And where the wall meets the footing is where it's leaking the entire length of the wall. So for them to stop that, they actually have to inject it with, I don't exactly know the material, but they actually grind
I think
all.
it's an epoxy.
That's what I was
Epoxy,
gonna
that's what I was
guess.
trying to think.
Yeah.
They'll grind out all the bad and actually drill into it and epoxy the whole thing to try to get that to stop leaking. And then we'll clean the inside of the wet wells, isolate them, clean them, pressure wash them, and see if there's anything on the inside that it might be causing that. But all the repairs, they think, they can do from the dry side and not the wet well side. But we're gonna inspect it anyways.
So this is what, I thought you were gonna tell us how you were gonna pump the wet well out, and you were going to be repairing it from the wet side. You're doing everything from the dry side, you're saying?
So the guy that came out and looked at it said he doesn't need to do it. It's actually easier for him to do it from the dry side.
Oh, yeah.
So they said they don't need to, they just want to inspect the wet side of it. And they need to be, we've been holding off, we usually clean them in November, but we knew this was coming up, so they need to be cleaned regardless.
So this is a start to finish price, including all vac trucks, all the outside services. We incur nothing but a bill at the end.
Correct.
Discussion? Mike, have you looked at what they're stating? Do you concur with their statement that it can be done from the dry side? Obviously, it has to be guaranteed.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the leak is not a heavy flow, I assume. That's why they're able to work just on the dry side?
Yes, it's not like pouring out,
Yeah.
but it's enough where when I first took over, I noticed that it was wet. And over the past 3 years, it's gotten significantly worse.
So the injection of epoxy will create enough
Should
temporary
seal it.
pressure
Yep,
to hold the flow back.
correct.
So, sorry, do you have more to add, Corey?
Oh, I was just gonna move on to the second portion.
Well,
of it.
let's
Okay.
take them one at a time since they're individual items. So does anybody have any discussion or problems with a total of $26,450 to fix the problems with the wet wells at the East Union Pump Station?
I understand it, and so I'll make that motion.
Before you make a motion, David, Mike, are we going to consider this an addendum to our contract?
It would have to be a change order.
Oh, because if we do a number this big, we'd have to put it out to bid. But if it's a change order on an existing contract, we can extend the contract.
It would be a change order.
Okay. So that's the terminology, David.
Yes. Yes, then I approve, I make a motion to build a change order for the existing work on the East Union Pump Station in the amount of $26,450 to repair a crack in the wet well.
Second the motion?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So that's that one. Now, would you tell us about the second one, Corey?
The second one, when this gentleman came to look at the wet well, he saw the floor, obviously in the office area. Now there's years of paint that just is coming off. We tried to chip as most of it off as we could a couple of years ago, but it's all coming off again. So he said they actually redo concrete floors as well. And they come in and they basically grind off all the old, seal it, and put like non-slip chip down, and then they seal it. So I said, just give us a price and we'll look at it and discuss it.
And you're gonna be responsible to vacate your office then, all your furniture and everything out of
We would
there?
have to move pretty much everything. Yeah.
And did they give you a time frame on how long you're gonna be inconvenienced there?
No, I did not even ask that question because I wanted to talk with you guys first.
What would you do in the meantime?
Work off the laptop. We have the other 2 rooms we can move into.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it work.
I guess you'd have to move all your computer equipment over to the countertop?
Yeah, we'll pick up everything, put it on the countertop, cover, take everything off the floor. That includes the bathroom floor too as well.
And then that
which is-
storage room that's around the back where the refrigerator is, that all that whole area over to where the stairs go down
Correct.
into the base
Yep.
under area? Well, I did get a price to do a garage, and this is not far off. It was around $4,500 to do a garage floor. That's just a clean rectangle. This is angles, and I don't know what the square footage is, but I think this is probably larger than a 2-car garage.
It's a pretty good area.
Did you say there's gonna be a new lift of concrete added?
No. What they do is they come in, they basically sandblast what is existing there, and they clean it to like it's new. And then they seal it. And then it's an epoxy coating that they basically put back on it, so it won't actually peel off the concrete.
Little sparkles in it?
Exactly, if you will.
Actually, it is. It's a common common product for garage floors and basements in homes where you want to have an epoxy floor so you keep the dust and dirt down.
Yeah, it's just,
I've seen
Very
those,
nice, actually.
so-
yeah, it's
Like
just,
the common commercials I see where
now it's just hard to keep the floor clean.
Yeah. All right, any discussion on this, or do we have an estimate for another change order, motion for another change order?
Was there a price? You
Yeah,
said,
right
or
there.
just cover it?
It's in the second handout in your file.
Right here,
You have it in your file.
6,000, right there.
Okay, I see now. Okay,
This is something you think's necessary.
Yes. You can't mount, we tried to mount the floor, you can't mount the floor because more paint comes off than dirt.
Yeah, every time you vacuum it, paint chips up.
I would say, as well as looks, it could be considered an environmental improvement for the health of the folks working in the building. There's no contaminants in the air, and we don't even know what that floor is. We don't know if it's linoleum and it's got fiberglass in it or asbestos in it or what, so.
Yeah.
Get it out of there and put it in the floor. Okay. Where are we gonna, let's do this motion, Dave, and then we'll talk about another topic.
motion to accept the offer from SCI to perform work at East Union Pump Station to the office floor, storage room, and toilet floor restoration in the price of $6,850.
Well, is this going to be a change order?
Yes.
Yes, all preceded by the word change order.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is made to approve a change order for $6,850 for SCI to do the floors in the East Union Pump Station office and office area and adjoining spaces. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So, let's talk about where we're going to fund this out of. Would this constitute an improvement? But do we have a line, Lynn, in our budget for building maintenance or something?
It should, yeah.
We have, I didn't bring the budget with me, we don't have anything for building maintenance, most of,
I think
We have-
there's a couple.
we have
there's a line
contract
in there.
services under the pump stations, but that's about it. We don't have an
There
actual
is one for,
building maintenance. We have one for equipment,
We have equipment
but
maintenance.
not for building.
Maybe in our budget next year, we should see about creating a building maintenance line in our budget. And we could fund it and we could use that for building maintenance, like a toilet repair or a broken window. So we'll
Yeah.
have to work on that for our next budget cycle. So, we could, since it's a change order, it can fall into the contract, which comes out of our capital, our CIP line item in our budget. So we'll add this to the CIP line item, and we can always request funds from the trustees if we need it to make ends meet, or we can just absorb it into the balance of the budget. It is a bottom line budget. Okay. Good. Okay,
We do have a wet well maintenance line.
Yeah, I think that's only like $1,000 or something. Yeah, it's just a
That's for
cleanup.
pumps and
I
stuff.
think that was for chemicals, wasn't it?
No, there's a chemical line. That,
Okay.
the $1,000 is to actually clean the wet wells.
Okay. Well, we can use that towards it. All right, Mike, Corey, we also have Riverview Park update. Who's supplying that?
I think that would probably be Mike.
Mike.
On Riverview, we received the shop drawing submittal for the building. We had a number of comments on it, so we marked that up and sent it back. And we just got the revised submittal last week. I made some comments on it, and our structural engineers are reviewing it right now.
Okay. So we're proceeding.
Mhm.
Good. Dan, you have anything you'd like to quiz about that, or are you neutral at this time? Dave, you have anything? No, sir. Corey, do you have anything? Thank you for that, Mike.
Mike, which was that invoice that you sent me? We have to do a motion to let him,
That
was
was
that East
Elm
Union?
Street.
Was it Elm Street? Okay, we'll do that at the end then. Just don't want to forget that. Okay.
You'll have to add that to the agenda then, because it's
Yeah, it
not.
was something that came in after.
Moose Club Park Furnace. Now, we talked with Corey about this in the past, and I'm ready to hear from Corey what he's been working on.
Ideas. The best route. It's kind of a complicated little building, so.
Well, tell us about the problems to restore everyone's memory.
So the issue in there is how that furnace is mounted. It's a small building, there's not a lot of room, so you have a wall, you have 2 pumps, a massive generator, and then you have the furnace,
Is that the indoor generator?
indoor generator.
Okay, go ahead.
So this unit is 30 plus years old now, and it's working fine at the moment, but they don't make parts to fix it anymore. They kind of have, the computer board in it for some reason lasts about 1.5 years, 2 years, and then it fries itself.
Probably from moisture.
It's pretty dry in there though.
Okay.
That one's not real bad. And the other thing is space. It sticks way off the wall, and to like get to the thing to even work on it is difficult. So we're trying to come up with a way to figure out if it's possible to have an outdoor mounted unit instead of having that mounted inside the building. And
Well, were we not talking about moving the generator out of the building?
yes,
Would that free up space? Possibly.
possibly yes, but the issue is, so that generator and all the pumps are on a rack. So you'd have to, even if you take that generator off, the generator sits that high off the ground.
Mhm.
So you're still gonna be up against that whole rack system where the generator is sitting even when you take it out.
And our building is relatively close to a neighbor. Would that-
Yes.
Would the generator create too much noise?
Well, we had discussed possibly putting a small building around it, an accessory building adjacent to it to deflect the noise, or something to that effect.
Believe it or not, when the generator that's in that building, when that runs,
Very loud.
it's 10 times louder than the outside generator like at Elm Street Pump Station. A unit they're actually made to be quiet now. It comes in its own enclosure.
Like the Generac ones they show on television, mounted on an
Exactly, yeah.
exterior pad. So have you, to backtrack a little bit here, have you been working on any solutions to the generator issue prior to discussing this tonight?
Yes, we are waiting to hear from Sherbon's engineer, because there's two conflicting theories on the generator and how to properly size it, because the generator that's there now is direct drive. You take that direct drive off and you put an outside mounted unit, you're now going through there's two inverters to actually push enough power to run those pumps.
And what do those pumps require, Corey? 240? What do they need?
480.
480.
So that, we were talking before, that building only has single phase to it.
Ah,
Sherbon thinks that the generator that another company we had talked about, I told them the size, what they were thinking, when they were putting their price together, they came back and said they thought it was undersized.
okay.
So they sent the information, all the information from the building with those inverters to an engineer to come up with what size generator needs to be there.
And that's in the works?
That is in the works.
How far away is three-phase? Those are single-phase? So those are single-phase? Are they three-phase pumps with an inverter, or are they?
Yes.
So the three-phase pumps, they're running on a single-phase inverter? Okay,
Yep.
I know what that is. So, how far away is three-phase power in our neighborhood down there?
A long ways.
Yeah.
A long way.
It's all the
not
way
like,
up at the top of the
Yeah.
hill.
it's not something that could easily be rectified with cross arms and wires. Okay. So that's out.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the inverters are the issue.
Yes.
The real discussion is about the sizing the inverters.
Exactly.
So that the generator will supply enough power through the inverter to run the pumps.
Yes, and they're trying to figure out if a standard 25K or 30K, I think,
Yeah, 30.
30K, they spec for it, one company says a 30K would be fine, but they're trying to figure out, well, does the 30K run into the inverters and then boost it from there? And so Sherbon, the way they looked at it, they were saying you probably need like a 50 to 60K.
Well, if we're gonna get up into these big generator numbers based on Sherbon's engineering, I would hope that we as a commission would approve Mike to have his electrical engineers at least give us a second opinion,
Absolutely.
and pay Mike to have his consulting engineers work on it as well. I wouldn't want to just take a single engineer's opinion on something as expensive as that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when the information becomes available, could you get it to Mike? So
Yep.
Mike can look at it?
Yes.
All right. So now that we've talked about that, let's come back to the topic at hand, the heating unit. Are you talking about an external mounted type of
Yes,
unit that we see,
like a mini split.
a mini split?
Exactly. Get rid of the propane,
So a heat pump.
heat pump. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
And then you have an exterior unit with a cooling fan, and you have the unit inside which delivers the heat or the air conditioning based on the season.
Correct.
And what are those costing in this day and age? 5,000 to 8,000?
Roughly, yeah. That one, it depends on the size. And from talking with our HVAC guy, he doesn't think it would take a very big one to heat that place.
Mhm.
But it's just trying to figure out if we're gonna throw a generator outside, where are we gonna mount that thing, where it's not gonna be in the way? Because now the power, if they put the generator outside, there's gonna have to be a transfer switch and everything in the back of the building where we were first looking at. There's actually a lot of open wall.
So in your mind, what needs to happen first, Corey?
Figure out the generator and where that thing would have to sit. And then
Whatever space is left over on the building, you could think about mounting a heat pump type system?
Exactly.
To heat the building?
Yes,
Any generator and inverter design sufficient for the pumps with the mini split would just be a minor.
very
demand.
minor, yeah.
Yes.
Could the generator be mounted so that the Riverview pump station provides some buffering from the houses, or is it gonna be right in plain view? I don't know.
You wouldn't be able to see it.
You wouldn't be able to see it?
No, it'll be inside the fence and you can't see, it's all got, it's a chain link fence, but it has all that green in it,
Slatting
so
in
you
it?
can't, yeah, so you can't see in.
So we're talking the standard pad mount generator, external
Correct.
generator that's freestanding.
Yes.
That's the only building I haven't had the pleasure to go in.
Well, then you'll have to hop right down there. And so there's no need to build a structure around it then?
No.
No,
No.
with a standard exterior grade generator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's hope we're not into the 60 or 70 kW range, but so we'll have to get some engineering from your Sherbon and from Mike's consultants and
Yep.
see where it lands. Are the commissioners opposed to moving the generator to an outside pad?
Sounds acceptable.
And upgrading the heating system is a no-brainer.
Yep.
We should do that if the system is that old and parts aren't available and it's inefficient and on you go.
Yeah, and it's the same with the generator that's inside there. You can't get parts for it anymore.
And our generator would run that in the event that we were out of power.
Exactly.
So I think the commission is giving you the green light to move forward with the rest of your research and come back with a recommendation to us
Okay.
based on your generator decision input. And then the heating system, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much a go from everybody at the table at this point. And it'd just be a case of selecting your contractor and giving us a number for what it's gonna cost us to get it done.
Okay.
And we'll do that independently of Sherbon, we'll do that ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Lynn, what did you want to bring up?
You have an invoice there that needs to be signed. Mike needs to talk about that.
Payment application here?
Yeah, I don't think-
Contractor
I don't
summary
think
work?
we did.
Payment application number 4. This is on the Elm Street pump station improvements.
What's the total certified amount?
141.
Okay, so I have the right document.
677.
I just make sure I have the right document. So explain what the request is for, Mike.
They haven't billed us, they haven't invoiced for a while. So this current period work includes the balance of mob and demob, some of the site prep and restoration. A big chunk of it is electrical work, and there's also plumbing and HVAC work. There's the siding and the building exterior, and as well as some of the pumping equipment. There's also some paving there. And then it also includes change order number 2, which was $21,370.
I see that. So Mike, is it, if this amount is approved, so if I go to line 9 on the contractor summary, the balance to completion is 45,550.82? And then where does you have retainage on line 5? So the retainage is separate from the balance to completion, or is the retainage included in the balance to completion?
That's part of it.
That's part of it.
Because,
They,
it's part of the addition of numbers. 11,060.
and that's included in the balance to completion, so the retainage is included in the balance to completion, okay.
Yeah.
Now, the total retainage to this day is 11,000, or is that,
Right now, it's 11,000. They actually achieved substantial completion last August. So once they're at substantial completion, you can reduce the retainage to 2%. So that's reflected here.
are they done at the pump station on Elm Street?
They still have to put a meter socket. And I think that's the
What?
only thing outstanding. Yeah,
Did they top coat it, pave it?
yeah, that's all right.
So in your estimation, are you recommending this payment certified amount of 141,677.23?
Yes. Yeah, and 2% retainage will be held until August of this year, so if anything comes up, you've got money there to cover it.
But we still are gonna owe 45,550 even after today?
Mhm.
Okay, just asking. Okay, is there any discussion on this payment application submitted by our engineers? Mike? Dan, you wanna make a motion, please?
Motion to accept the payment application for the Elm Street wastewater pump station improvement project.
Good.
Payment application from Sherburne Consolidated for the Elm Street wastewater pump station improvement project in the amount of $141,677.23.
Thank you, I'll second that.
Motion been made and second to approve the payment application, 141, 677 and 23 cents.
So I need you to sign that and give it back to me, please.
Can I have that back then, Mike?
I have some extras if you want.
Well, I just signed one and I sent it to
Yeah.
Max, I'll sign
You want
one.
to send?
I need one for me to put in my file, so somewhere along the line, then give me one later. Thank you, Mike.
So you're set now, I don't need to give you
Got one right
anything.
there now.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve the payment application made and seconded, and no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Okay. I notice that we have our requested data extraction from the Manchester wastewater treatment facility for the St. A's flow by the Q meter in front of us. I noticed all the figures are completed, and have we submitted this to St. A's for their consideration, Lynn?
No, Dave was telling me that you wanted to discuss it at the
You had a
meeting tonight
conversation
first.
with me that this needs to be discussed this evening.
Okay, great.
Before Lynn releases it.
Okay, is there anything to go over, or are we happy with what our data is we're sending them?
Facts are facts, so
Yep.
I have no issue with releasing this.
I would like to release it with Lynn sending a letter to them. Lynn, could you take notes, please? What I think the way we should proceed is I think we should stick to our treatment unit calculations. We will send them the data as requested. Now, in prior discussions, we talked with them about their occupancy and how they are out of school for several months, every year. Then they have breaks in between, Christmas breaks and Easter break and whatever break they have. I think the methodology we need to ask them for is for them to produce what they feel is a fair deduction based on their treatment units and their vacation schedules, if you will. How much they think it would be fair to deduct. That way, by our own rules, we can grant a waiver for non-use of their facilities. I'll go over if you have any questions, Lynn, I'll go over it with you later.
Okay.
But the basis of the letter I would like to discuss with the commission tonight is that we stick to our treatment unit policy and we consider granting them a waiver based on the times that they're not using their flow and providing flow. And then if whatever the percentage of reduction they come up with, we would apply it to the treatment unit amount formula, and that's how we would come to an agreement with St. A's. So that's my thought on how we get there. I do not think it'd be wise for us to use flow in and flow out information because we are creating a precedent that anybody could challenge us on by our entire system of calculating our sewer use rates. We have room in our sewer use ordinance to work through a waiver system, And I think that's how we should be advisable to proceed. David?
And I would like, I have a tentative agreement that reflects exactly what you want for how the flow to be based. And my yellow paragraph can be changed to represent what I was thinking about a possible reduction to exactly what you were thinking about, a reduction based on reduction in the reduced summer situation.
I would like them to actually come up with a number, Dave. I don't want to give them a number. They're the ones that are challenging our sewer use ordinance methodology for calculating their sewer use bill. I would like them,
So
I'd like,
this could be the structure
that
of
could
what,
be the structure, as long as you hold that in your possession, until such a time as they come up with what they consider to be an agreeable
Is there-
amount, then we could apply it to your
Yeah.
document.
yes. This is, everything in the upper two-thirds is exactly what we would bill them for under the existing conditions. The paragraph I have in yellow explains our business logic for a possible reduction.
Good, good, and I think that's great, but I'd like you to hold that in reserve until they respond to our request for them to present to us what they feel is an appropriate deduction based on the formula.
I agree.
So Lynn, I will, did you get any of what I wanted to do?
Yeah, I've got
So
some.
why don't you
yeah.
try to, tomorrow, just put it in longhand on a piece of paper,
Okay,
and then either give me a call or I'll drive down.
okay,
And I'll sit with you and we'll finalize the wording. But-
Okay.
But basically, the summary is, we'd like you to provide us with what you think is a fair and equitable deduction in your bill based on your student population not using the facility, and how many calendar days per year they don't use it, and that could become a percentage deduction, and we can waive that in our billing schedule.
Okay.
Okay? Go ahead. You can
But,
review the.
no, I'm confused here. We're not telling the parcel owner what the treatment unit value is. The agreement that they looked at last month, and this agreement provides a process for them to provide information to us on some schedule, let's say every 4 years. Number of students, number of employees. That would be an opportunity for us to take the input, which is official from them, apply it to the New Hampshire rules, and we would approve a treatment unit. And so I'm concerned about the process of receiving information, using it to create treatment units, and then,
And I'm thinking this is going to work to that methodology, Dave, because we're going to ask them for how much time in a calendar year are you not using the system to the capacity based on our treatment unit program. Then we can apply it to your letter and hook it into the treatment unit calculations.
one of the primary faults in the 1990 agreement, it had no mechanism for revisiting. So whatever this future agreement is, I would like, as I've expressed in this draft, a possible way of revisiting it on some defined schedule.
I agree that we could as a commission agree to a 3-year schedule, we could agree to a 5-year schedule, we could agree to any schedule that the commissioners see fit to agree to. But within any 3-year agreement, they would be subject not to rate increases, but to any other supplemental expenses that
The
any
statement
else would
is,
have to pay.
the resultant TU, which we calculate, will be implemented immediately, remain in effect until revised under the terms of this agreement.
Perfect. But let's let them come up with a formula for a statement for how many days that they claim that they're not using it, because our treatment units are basically full use every day. If they're not full use for, take a number, 30 days, that's a 1/12 deduction in my book.
So am
because
I
it's 12
sending them this information?
You send them that, and we're gonna send them the letter with it, saying,
Okay.
this is the rate information you asked for, but we want you to come up with, we are sticking to our treatment unit data. We are not going to bill you based on water in and water out, as we stated clearly to them at the meeting. So, we'll let them come up with the amount of time they don't use it. We'll come up with a treatment unit schedule based on Dave's document. We'll present it to them, at which time we discuss it and move forward from there. But my thought is,
So the treatment units would be calculated exactly according to the letters they already have,
right,
in which, it's understood that they have to supply us employees and
students, population information. And I think it'll be fine. And if they have any questions, they can contact you back, and you can get more information for them. Which I don't think they will, because,
if all of this isn't resolved in May, I have no problem with continuing the building then, in May.
we have to, we will bill them at the existing rate
Yes, in
until
May.
this is resolved.
So, okay.
Whatever our normal billing cycle is, they get a bill. Even if it's the reduced rate based on our deal that expired 20 years ago, they have to be billed.
Yes.
This is for future
So I
billing.
just want to clarify,
Yeah.
we'll continue honorably on the same bill
Yes.
until we resolve a new agreement.
Right. Okay. There's a warrant. Did you guys get the warrant signed when I was out of town?
No, yeah, we signed that one,
Sure,
so
that's
we're
good.
good with that one.
Does anybody other have business here before the
Yes,
commission?
sir.
David, go ahead.
In January, I offered to volunteer to revise the SOAR ordinance, Appendix A. That's two, another one for our chair.
Do you have any for that way?
No,
Why doesn't Jim give it to Corey? Because Corey would be more interested in the sewer use ordinance than Jim. Assuming that's true, Jim?
okay, what you're
I'd
looking
say you're
at,
probably right.
what you look, if we make a change in the SOAR ordinance, the date would change
Okay?
on the cover. There's a section 16 in the ordinance that says that this revision was
The effective date?
enacted and ordained on a certain date.
Yep.
And I added a paragraph indicating that it replaces an older version. And the only thing that changed in the whole thing would be Appendix A.
Okay.
So my last piece of paper is Appendix A. The in-year SOAR reached $450 per treatment unit, effective with fees billed in 2024. This rate was approved on the SOAR Commission vote November 14th, 2023.
You need to, by vote, right? Or just the
Was
rate
was approved by the commission.
Okay,
on-
you said the word vote.
I'm sorry, yeah, I put an
That's fine.
extra word in there. The accessibility fee is $5,000 per treatment unit. This rate had been in place for several decades and was reaffirmed by the SOAR Commission. Scratched the word on a date based on the acceptance of a Gulfstown Sewer System accessibility fee study. That was
Dated May 20th, 21.
cover, I actually have it here. It was dated in May 21 and simply performed by a consulting engineering firm. So Appendix A allows us to officially state what the rate is. At some point in the future, if we want to make more than $450, this would be the document that would be changed.
Do we, in our sewer use ordinance, do we have our fees, any kind of fee schedule in our sewer use ordinance?
Thanks.
Like,
I
you
think
know,
it's
like
in an
a,
appendix.
it is in the appendix?
We have the license fees and the
Yes.
permit fee.
Permit fees.
That is both in there?
Yeah,
Okay. So I just want to make sure, if we're making adjustments, let's get them all at once.
I know it's
I'll pull it out.
It's stated on the website. but-
Yeah. I'll pull out the ordinance in the morning and I'll go through it and make sure it's in there.
Has Appendix A always been blank,
Yes,
even prior versions?
Yep,
always.
Oh.
And it was, we had it brought to our attention
by saying that.
last month.
So, is there Does anybody have anything to add to either of these rate suggested edits to our sewer use ordinance? Does the
Mention
accessibility fee,
approval of 5,000.
does the accessibility
have
fee
them do
section
it
need to
here.
state when the accessibility fee is due, or is that separate information from the, describing what the fee is?
There's a.
That's probably complicating it?
Yeah, I think that's
There's a whole
complicated.
appendix on the accessibility fee.
Yes.
Okay. And that describes when
And it describes,
accessibility fees are
yes.
due?
Yeah.
All right, fine, then my point is
Yes,
is not.
It ties it as to when it is payable.
If you want to make that motion now, you can, because there is nothing in the minutes.
Okay.
Is there any discussion from any members at the table regarding these changes to the sewer use ordinance?
My only issue I want to bring up is that we officially accepted this report on March of 21.
2021, yeah.
I see these
So-
got ripped.
Well, no, I don't have it in March. We accepted the report in March of 21. At some point later than that, I remember distinctly, we had a conversation that the report recommended $5,200.
Yeah,
And we had a discussion saying that it was a consensus that, thank you for your report, we're going to continue with $5,000. Because, the recommendation of $5,200 was so comparable to the existing rate. We
do
didn't want to
you
change it.
feel there's a need to put that date in here, or does it?
But we never made a motion that we favorably approved the continuation of 5,000. So it was
I see.
a lack of a motion, the existing rate just continued.
All right, so I think we need to have a motion for that prior to putting it into our rates. If we're gonna put it into our Appendix A as a rate, we need to have a motion to accept it
To
prior.
formally-
Okay,
I would feel comfortable on that.
it's,
So, a motion, Lynn, that the sewer accessibility fee will be $5,000 per treatment unit. Based upon our acceptance of a study performed by our consulting
And
engineer.
discussion.
Yeah.
Based upon the acceptance,
The
what?
the acceptance of a study that we approved in March 2021. Just,
no, that cleans it up.
yes, sir.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to,
And essentially, it was, that was, it reaffirmed that we were doing things right.
okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Motion's been made and seconded to set the sewer accessibility rate at $5,000 based on a schedule, on a performance by a study performed by a consulting engineering firm in March of 2021. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
So as far as the wording of Appendix A, you're looking for Corey to give you some further
Nope.
review?
No, I think it's fine. You eliminated this little on MMDDYY. You added November 14th of 2023 on A. And otherwise it remains the same, correct? This here is not part of the motion. So what you did was you changed that to there.
Yes, sir.
You just took that piece out.
Correct.
To clean it up.
Yep.
And that's your
So
statement right there.
what I read to you is Appendix A, a motion to approve the wording for Appendix A and the corresponding change in Section 16 and a new cover sheet.
Okay, so there's a package here to vote on. Changes to our sewer use ordinance for the cover sheet, Section 16 effective date, and Appendix A rates. Is there a motion to that effect?
No, that was my motion.
Been made.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes unanimously. So, at this time, do these changes require us to pull pages and replace pages, Dave, or what are we doing with this? We're not gonna print a whole, we're not gonna do a whole new ordinance.
Lynn will generate the new document, and it'll be a Word document, so you can, print the pages for us, but the whole new document has to go into the website.
Does Mike have to do anything to get it approved by this
No.
date or anything like that? No?
No.
Okay.
These are not, I think if it had to do with treatment units and formulas and wastewater, it'd be different, but these are rates and clean up the dates.
Yeah, this is more of a housekeeping thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Administrative.
Yeah.
The page 91 is a signature page also.
We'll have to sign them.
Yes. So you need to prepare the new document and then call us in
We'll
to
sign-
sign it,
we'll
because
sign it.
we've just approved it, but you have to call us in to sign it.
Okay. Okay.
If you were materially changing the ordinance, then you'd want to go through a public hearing. But you're not materially changing it, you're really just reaffirming existing procedures.
We've already made a decision on the 450.
Yeah,
We just,
By default, we continued the old accessibility fee.
so, so you're not really changing.
It's an update,
It's clarification.
The only issue I have with doing this is the accessibility, or the sewer use ordinance I have is a PDF, and I can't
I have a Word
make,
document version.
for the whole
Yes.
thing you do, could you send that to me so I can update it from that?
Didn't you send you a Word version?
I have my computer right now,
It's only 100 pages long. You just,
yeah,
well, for about a week.
they have me working on,
Tim will type it up overnight.
they have me working on the
Have you opened
cloud,
the
and I
color
have
page
Word
then?
Pad, I don't have Microsoft Word, things go to Word Pad automatically, and my computer is all,
What's going on? Why don't, you having trouble getting IT to take care of it for you?
I'm just, myself and Jody are two of the only ones that have this system. They took me off of what everybody else has, and it's been total HE double hockey sticks. And he said everybody eventually was going to this, but nobody has. The two of us are struggling.
For example, in preparing this information I just presented to you, I wanted to scan through the old minutes from the sewer commission. They have not been reposted to the website yet. The town completely overhauled the whole website.
That's different from my computer
So,
issue, but
So the IT department is working off a very long list of documents to repost, so they're
Well,
so they're
Have
accessible.
you sent an email to your IT department stating your concerns and?
at one point I asked if, because it had something to do with the license, and I asked if I could ask you guys to purchase the license for me so I could go back to the old way. But then Brian said something about everybody was going to go to the way I am, but I haven't seen it.
Well, why don't you send IT an official email that you'd like this corrected? And that way, if it doesn't get corrected, then we have some leverage to go in and say, well, look, our department has made a request and it hasn't been honored, what's going on?
Jim, is
Not on,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Is your board receiving information on the update of the whole website?
Not much. Just what's on the website.
Yeah, just like, for my, 2 days ago, I wanted to read an old set of minutes. And, there used to be 10 years' worth of minutes there. They're no longer accessible.
Yeah, we haven't had any formal discussion about it or anything.
Okay,
Technically, minutes are supposed to be accessible.
under law.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else, David?
No.
David, anything else?
Yes, sir.
Corey? Pete? Mike and Jim? And finally, the Queen, Lynn.
I have nothing else, thank you.
Thank you.
Good answer.
All right, if there's no other business for the commission, I'll ask for an adjournment motion.
Well, I hope the next time we meet that Dan will still be in attendance.
He had to.
Yeah,
I don't think I have anybody running against
yeah, it's
you.
gonna be hard to lose.
A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Seconded by Daniel. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Oh,
Opposed?
yeah, no, we can do it after.
What?
No, I just remembered, when you said that, the elections are
Oh,
the same
yeah.
day we have our meeting, next month. Do we want to keep our
No,
meeting that
I'm
day,
not
or,
involved.
I'm not involved in elections either.
I'm fine.
so we can
The
keep
only
it?
would be our select board rep. He probably has to be at the polls.
Yeah. Well, we can't be there after 7, but we're supposed to be there until 7. Apparently, we can go inside and work, but not when they start counting, we can't, because I'm up for election, so we can't.
If you could ask to be excused for a 6 o'clock meeting, it'd be nice to have you. If you can't, we'll have one without you.
I think they can get along.
It's
without
not required that we have a select board rep. There's no legal requirement. It's just part of the transparency.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep
All right,
it
we'll
as
continue
is.
with the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.